Kesava, a beautiful name of Krishna. We saw that in the first chapter, 31st sloka, where Arjuna addresses Krishna as Kesava because of his beautiful lofty curly hair, which is a sign of Krishna's divinity. Now, here again in the second chapter, 54th sloka, Arjuna addresses Krishna as Kesava. But there is a contextual difference between these two things, because in the first chapter, Arjuna was lamenting, he was filled with sorrow, he did not have his mind or his body under his control, therefore he addressed Krishna as Kesava. After that, he is actually surrendered to Krishna. He has told Krishna that accept me as your disciple, guide me in the right direction. We are now in the second chapter, which is called as Sankhya Yoga. Here, Krishna advises Arjuna with all what he needs to understand at this point of time. Here, Arjuna is very happy to understand a lot of important things. Therefore, he is asking questions wherever clarity is required. So, at this point, in the 54th sloka, Arjuna addresses Krishna as Kesava. So, the meaning here is different because of the different situation. Arjuna uvacha sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya Kesava sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. Here, Arjuna wants to know a lot of important concepts. Krishna has been explaining about Sankhya Yoga. He's been explaining how the body and the Atma are two different things. He's been explaining the importance of being a Sthita Prajna. Now, Arjuna is very happy to understand, because think of this, when a good teacher teaches a good subject, we are very happy to learn the subject. Now, Arjuna has the God himself as a teacher, and he is able to understand the concepts firsthand. So, he wants to know more about it. He wants to understand things in detail. Therefore, Arjuna is asking a few questions to Krishna to understand everything in detail. So, here he is asking, Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha. Now, you speaking about Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna means one who is steady in his knowledge. Now, how does he talk? What is his language? What is his mode of communication? Samadhistasya Kesava. Now, how does he control his mind? So, he has all his senses under his control, is it? What exactly do we mean by controlling the mind? How is he able to do it? Now, how does he sit? How does he talk? How does he walk? I want to understand all this. So, please explain all this to me in detail, is what Arjuna says. At this point in time, he addresses Krishna as Kesava. Now, when we just understand these words, we'll understand the depth of what Arjuna wants to know, because when we read the things in English, it's like, how does he sit? How does he walk? How does he talk? What's all this? Why should he ask the Lord of the universe all these questions, is what will come to our mind, right? So, when we say, how does he talk? Arjuna does not just want to know the literal words of what he talks. It can't be taken literally. It means the layers of thought which are there in his mind, in the Sthita Prajna's mind, before he actually utters the word. What actually is something which he undergoes in his thought process is what he wants to know. He says that, how does he sit? How does he walk? Which means that Arjuna wants to know the details of what does he do when he is inactive? What exactly does he do when he is active? So, Arjuna wants to know everything about the Sthita Prajna. He wants to know everything about a person with control of mind, control of knowledge. He wants to know how does a person react when he has a steady flow of knowledge. So, a lot of questions are posted by Arjuna to Krishna. So, here the name Kesava has been used. Now, what do we mean by the name Kesava here? Sri Adi Shankara gives a beautiful explanation. Earlier we saw that Kesha means the beautiful hair that our Lord Krishna has, right? Kesha also has another meaning, which means the rays of light. So, Adi Shankara uses the meaning of the rays of light to the word Kesha. Now, rays of light of what? Rays of light of sun, moon and everything else in the cosmos which emancipate light. So, the radiance of everything which has a radiance is actually coming only from our Lord Krishna. Krishna is the owner of all the effulgence, all the radiance, and everybody else borrow this radiance and effulgence from our Kesava Krishna. So, Krishna is now an embodiment of light. What does this mean? This means that Krishna is filled with knowledge, because we said that light is knowledge, darkness is ignorance. So, Krishna is an embodiment of all knowledge. Krishna is the source of all light. All the effulgence or radiance spring out from Krishna. Therefore, with so much of knowledge, he can explain anything, he can clarify anything. So, Arjuna has all these doubts in his mind. So, he wants Krishna, who is an abode of knowledge, to clarify these doubts to him. So, he addresses Krishna as Kesava in the appropriate context. There is another meaning for the name Kesava, where it is Ka Isha. Ka means Brahma, Isha means Isha, which is Shiva. Va means from his body. So, Brahma and Shiva sprung from the body of Kesava. This is again an interpretation of the word Kesava. So, here it would mean that the creation, sustenance and the dissolution, everything is done by Kesava, who is the Lord of Ka and Isha. So, Arjuna has addressed it in two different ways. He says that one who is the Lord of even Brahma and Shiva, please clarify these doubts to me. Or it could be that, hey Kesava, you are an embodiment of knowledge. You are a source of light even for the sun and the moon and everything else in the cosmos. Therefore, clarify these doubts which are there in my mind and remove this darkness from me. Bring some light in my thought. So, he is addressing Krishna as Kesava. Now, what do we learn from this beautiful name Kesava in this context? You know, asking questions is something which Arjuna has been doing now. When we go back home, we ask some questions to our parents, we ask some questions to our friends, and more often than not, we are actually ridiculed for asking questions. They are like, hey, don't ask me these questions. We did not question our elders, so why are you questioning us? So what happens is, children today are discouraged from asking questions. Many times this is because elders themselves may not know the answers for a few of the questions, because they did not question their elders. But our Sanatana Dharma has always been accepting the concept of questioning. It's been encouraging the concept of questioning. So if we just look at some of our scriptures, Narada was questioned by sage Valmiki. So sage Valmiki asked, Kaunasmin sampradam loke gunavan kasya viryavan dharmagnaha kritagnaha. So he is asking who has all these auspicious qualities, and that person should be there now. Sampradam loke, at this point of time, is there anybody with all these qualities which I am looking forward to? Because only such person can be the hero of the Ramayana that I am authoring. So sage Narada replies to sage Valmiki saying that Rama is the only person, and that was the birth of Ramayana itself. So the question and answer was the birth of Ramayana. Similarly, Mahabharata, we know that there was a conversation between Janamejaya and Vaishampayana, which became the birth of Mahabharata. We know that Yaksha Prashnam, which is there in Mahabharata itself, where Yaksha questions Yudhishthira and Yudhishthira answers everything. That is such a source of knowledge for all of us. We have Vidura Niti, where Vidura explains a lot of things. So we get answers for a lot of questions we have. We have questions which are now asked by Arjuna to Krishna, which is given as Bhagavad Geetha. So many times all the question and answers become such an educational tool for us. Nachiketas, a little child, asks a lot of questions to Yamadeva itself, thereby giving us answers which is a Upanishad in its own virtue. There is a Upanishad called Prashnopanishad itself. Prashna means question. So questions are answered in the Upanishad. So questioning has been there in our culture, in our tradition, in our Sanatana Dharma. So asking the right questions is part of our culture, of our Sanatana Dharma. Therefore here Arjuna is asking questions to Krishna without any fear, without any doubt that Krishna is going to give the right answers. And Krishna lovingly gives all the answers to Arjuna, because these answers are going to be useful for us as well. Therefore, we can ask questions. The only thing is, we should have a feeling of reverence when we ask the question. We should not ask questions because of the doubt in our mind. It's like, I want to know whether this is true or false. Therefore, I'm asking this question. This kind of attitude is not permitted in our Sanatana Dharma. Tadvidhi pranipadena pariprashnena sevya is what Krishna says, right? Therefore, we should ask our doubt with all the vinayam, with all the humility. Thereby, our elders will be happy to answer us. So Krishna will help us understand our doubts. He'll clarify all the doubts for us. Our acharyas will give us the right knowledge. Thereby, all our ignorance will be removed. Therefore, we can ask questions. So here Arjuna leads us by example. He is asking questions to the God himself. He is asking questions to Kesava himself, and Kesava gives him all clarity. So also we can follow their footsteps. We can ask questions to our acharyas, to our God, to anybody with the appropriate attitude. So let's recite Lord Krishna's names and be blessed.
Madhava Achyuta Krishna Hare Rishikesha Kesava Govinda Vasudeva Bhagavan Janardana